Hello and welcome to Philip's Japanese Journal, a show tracking my journey through a year of learning Japanese with video games. This is month 2, February. After listening back to my last Japanese journal, I noticed a few things I wanted to change. I spent a lot of time just covering my logged activities, but I'd rather spend more of that time going into deeper detail on the games that I actually played this month. I'm still going to cover my other goals, but everything will be much briefer. So let's get started with listening and my goals. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, a bunch of different podcasts now. I found a bunch of different really good ones, and I think it might be too long to actually list them all for y'all. So I'm probably going to start a Google Doc or a sheet and just list all the resources I've used so I can share with y'all listeners everything in one place. But my target was 40 minutes a day, and I easily beat that with like 44 minutes a day. This isn't a hard goal to meet. I have a lot of time that are available to listen to stuff. So I reached the target time almost like 10 days ahead of schedule. It was that easy. So my new goal is 50 minutes above the 40 minutes of last month. So this month it's going to be a little bit harder, but I think I should be able to do it. I really need to improve my listening skills, I've noticed. So I'm hoping this will help quite a bit. For watching, this month I finished up Little Witch Academia and I really enjoyed it. Before this year is through, I'll probably go back and rewatch it. Another show I've really been enjoying is Deno Coil. I've never heard of this show before, but it's like a kids show on Netflix where the children are uncovering mysteries and like an augmented reality system in their city. It kind of feels like a kid version of like Ghost in the Shell, or kind of like Code Lyoko, I guess. I'm also enjoying Card Captor Sakura, which is just like a kiddier version of Sailor Moon. For watching, my goal was 25 minutes a day. And that was not too hard to beat. I hit, like 25 minutes and 47 seconds. I finished this one a few days early and just kind of stopped watching so I could focus on my other goals. And I'm worried about raising my goals too high this next month, as I'm going to be quite busy. I'm resuming my online college courses and currently out processing with my current job. So I'm going to kind of play it safe this month and only raise my goal from 25 minutes to 30 minutes. It's an extra 5 minutes a day. That means I just need to watch like 1.5 episodes per day. I'll probably watch like one 22-minute show and then maybe like an 11-minute show if I can find one of those like short bite-sized shows. Next up, reading. I read a few different things this month, but Yotsuba is still like the biggest thing I'm reading. I love Yotsuba. I think everyone should read it. It's funny, it's sweet, and I can understand it. My goal for reading was 17 minutes a day, and once again, it was very hard for me to hit this goal, just like last month. I'm finding it hard to sit down and actually read it. The last few days of the month, I had to put in like 40 minutes a day of reading sessions just to hit the average I wanted for the month. So despite me barely making these 17 minutes, I'm only going to raise my goal from 17 to 18. I know it's only 1 minute, but with all my other increases eating away at my time, I only have so much time available for Japanese each day. And I do want to mention that my reading speed has increased quite a bit. It used to take me like over an hour to read like one chapter of Priestess Snow the Bear Does It, a several-world purification journey with a cute and fluffy bear. But a few days ago, I finished like a whole chapter in 20 minutes. So even if I'm not increasing my overall spent time reading, I'm most likely reading more words due to my overall speed increasing. Next up, studying. Nothing really new to report. I'm still using a Japanese database, Anki, and Renshu. My goal was an hour and 5 minutes each day, and I made it exactly an hour and 5 minutes and 5 seconds each day. It really isn't that hard to study, but it does take a lot of time. It's hard to sit down and just start grinding, but you can do it till you hit the time you want. With how crunched up my schedule already is, I don't think massively increasing my study time will really help me. I could use more time for input in gaming and reading, but for the sake of just pushing myself a little harder, I'll just add like 2 minutes and make it an hour and 7 minutes. I know it seems silly, but I'm trying to avoid burnout, and that's like an extra half hour over the whole month or something like that. All right, time for the meat. Gaming in Japanese. This is what I'm here for. So Dragon Quest Treasures. This was the second game I've completed so far this year. My overall goal for this journal is to complete 12 games in Japanese, and it's not looking so difficult so far. I've had a few complaints about this game. Last month I was complaining about this, but overall the game is really good. In fact, would recommend this game as somebody's first game. Unlike my first game, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Dragon Quest Treasures actually require some use of the language. You have to navigate menus, interface with RPG elements, talk to multiple NPCs. You're not going to get too lost since each mission has waypoints to guide you every step of the way, pretty much. There are a few missions that are kind of like generic, collect 34 wolf pelts and bring them back, and they don't have quest markers. But you can figure out by just reading the quest log, you know, kind of what I'm here to do is actually read the language. It has full furigana, and the vocab isn't difficult. Most of the game is not voiced, but the major cutscenes are. There are about 3 or 4 of these cutscenes, and they auto-advance, so you can't kind of pause them and read the dialogue. You just gotta try to keep up. This isn't much of a big deal, as you can understand a lot from the animations. The How Long to Beat lists this game at 21 hours to beat, and I finished it at 20 hours and 56 minutes. So even with my slower reading, this game is not hard to finish. And this makes Dragon Quest Treasures now the longest game I've completed in Japanese. My cat is attacking me again. Next up, Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon. This is my 3rd game to complete so far. I know, I've finished 2 games in 1 month. I'm already ahead of schedule. I know that I just said I could recommend Dragon Quest Treasures as a good first game for Japanese learner, but I have a choice between Dragon Quest Treasures and Bayonetta Origins. I would recommend Bayonetta. This game is perfect for learners. The whole game is framed as like a children's storybook outlining Bayonetta's past. The game doesn't really have cutscenes except for a few scenes. Most of the story is in a visual novel, still frames with small animations that are fully voiced. And it has furigana. Like, I didn't think furigana was that important to me, but the more games I play, the more I realize I actually really like it. The game is fun and charming, so glad I played it. If I'm already like ranking the 12 games this year, Bayonetta is already number 1. The How Long to Beat was at 15 hours and I finished in 12. I'm not sure why it would take that long to beat the game, but I didn't really bother with like getting all the collectibles or optional dungeons. The combat really wasn't that great, but I enjoyed the story part and just kind of exploring the world. Next up, Trials of Mana. I've put about 10-ish hours in this so far, and I'm really enjoying it. Hold on, my cat is attacking me. Oh god. Thunk. There's something refreshing about playing an older RPG like this. The game is apparently like a remake of the original Seiken Densetsu 3 Trials of Mana, released back on the Famicom way back in the day. Or maybe it's Super Famicom, I'm not sure. But this one was never translated for the West, besides like fan translations. And I never played a Mana game, so I wasn't sure what to expect. The game puts off big Dragon Quest vibes, but even with that, it's different enough for it to be a different experience in Dragon Quest with the action mechanics. I think this game would be good for beginners, or not good for all beginners, because like I am struggling on some parts, but I'm still advancing. My cat is going wild. It's trying to kill me while I'm recording this. It has a lot of full cutscenes that auto advance. The characters talk really fast, so I do miss some of the dialogue in these scenes. Usually there's like a recap from a normal NPC after the scene. So it's like, it'll be a scene, something will happen, and then you'll be able to talk to like an old man afterwards, and I'm like, I can't believe that the Dragon Emperor is back. Did you know that? And I'll be like, oh, I didn't understand that from the cutscene, but now I do. So there's that, along with there are objective markers on every quest telling you where you need to go. So you can just like Skyrim your way through this of just following the markers. Which, while I'm on it, this game has a great map marker system that guides you step by step. I really appreciate it. Sometimes it's kind of redundant whenever the quest will say like, search for the Dwarven city in the forest. But then you have a massive quest marker showing you exactly where to go to it. But I don't hate it. This game feels like a fantasy version of Phantasy Star series. As strange as that sounds, you spend a lot of time walking in hallway levels with small branching paths for hidden treasure if you want to. Mostly you can just beeline it straight to the boss. There are a lot of times where your team will talk to you while you're traveling to discuss the current mission, or just have like character moments. I don't understand a lot of these, and they go by really quick without any warning. So far, I would not recommend this to another beginner unless you have like really good listening skills. Miscellaneous games. I'm also just, playing on the side. Tears of the Kingdom, Resident Evil 2, Honkai Star Rail. I've been playing a mix of other titles, but I keep bouncing back to these 3. I bounced off Zelda because it's just not engaging, as like 90% of the game is just walking. And I bounced off Resident Evil because I'm like too engaged and it's stressful. It's quite hard on the B playthrough, and the Japanese makes it harder. I do want to play some more mobile games, and Honkai Star Rail I keep trying to play, but it's just hard to find time to sit down and play it. And the tutorial takes a long time to get through. It took me like 40 minutes just to get through it. So I haven't even gotten to like the full game yet. They haven't taken off the training wheels. So my goal for this month in gaming was an hour and 15 minutes a day. And much like reading, I barely made it. I really had to push myself at the end. I only made it to like an hour, 15 minutes, and like 12 seconds. It was really close. So I'm going to push myself on this one and raise it to an hour and 20 minutes as this next month's goal. So just in like a confidence check for the last month, I'm feeling really good. Looking back and comparing the goals for this coming month and the month I just finished, I'm going to need like an extra 23 minutes in my schedule for Japanese every day. And that's going to be very difficult. I wanted to take a moment and explain in more detail how I log my data. I've actually set up like a Google sheet to calculate how much of an activity I actually need to do. It may sound surprising that I don't actually spend 3 hours with Japanese every single day. Some days I do a full 3 hours. Some days I do 4. On hard days when I'm busy, I might only do like 1 hour. Like for this month, I got so ahead on listening and watching that the last few days of the month, I didn't need to do that anymore. I could just focus on reading and gaming to get caught back up. So I don't always hit my daily goals, but through the whole month, I try to average it out. My Google Sheet tells me exactly how much I need to do each day to just be slightly ahead of my average by like a 7th or something like that. I think is how I have it set. It does result in kind of a strange curve where at the beginning of the month, it has me wanting to do almost like 5 hours a day just to get ahead, so that by end of the month, I'm kind of relaxing a little bit. This may be counterproductive to my overall goal of like practicing every day, but I think this will be like the only way I can meet my overall average goal each month. It helps me not feel so bad because I quote like failed to meet my goal for that day. The sheet kind of reevaluates the time I missed. And the next day, instead of having to do a full hour, I have to do an hour and 3 minutes just to make up lost time, which kind of sucks, but it also kind of makes me feel better if I don't get it all done. Most days I try to go over even more than it recommends, so the next day will be actually reduced. So instead of having to do an hour, I only have to do 58 minutes. Then it's even easier to be that time and do the full hour anyways. And then the next day it says you only need to do 56 minutes. Now, this isn't really like Japanese related, and it's just a stats thing that I enjoy. I think it's probably important to find a way to do what you enjoy when you're learning Japanese and focus on that. I enjoy logging my time, tracking my progress on vocab words, total number chapters, that type of stuff. Anyways, I think this has gone long enough for this episode. I have another full month of Japanese learning to get to, and thanks for joining me this week. See ya!